YouTube. This is White Sheep.
This is Hybrid.
And this is the next edition of Comic Book Versus. Now this time we've got a Marvel vs. DC matchup, the Lizard versus Killer Croc, both obviously reptilian characters and fierce antagonists against their respective superheroes, the Lizard being an enemy of Spider-Man, Killer Croc taking on Batman more than once. Hybrid's going to get us started.
Yeah. So, I take Killer Croc, and basically, you know, his real name is Waylon Jones, and his powers/abilities or skills, you could say, are Superhuman Strength, being to the degree of him being able to lift 10 tons. Superhuman Speed, he's able to outrun a car, usually, when it's accelerating. Obviously, when it reaches a certain cruising speed, most likely they'll best him. But yeah, moving on though, stamina-wise, he's able to function for 24 hours before, you know, his performance levels go down. Then his senses, they really touched on this when it came to Arkham Asylum, because he supposedly said, he was like, I can smell you, I have your scent, and I could track you, stuff like that. So basically, yeah, there you go for senses. Then for durability, he can take a lot of bullets. Not when it comes to like the high caliber bullets, it varies, but regular bullets, like from an M9, you could say, probably would not really hurt him that much. You could take a lot of impacts as well, to the point where it takes Batman to use explosives sometimes to defeat him. And then also he has a regenerative healing factor, being so that if he loses quite a bit of, let's say, flesh or skin, it'll just regenerate. Obviously not to a point of like Wolverine's, but you get the idea. Then he's also an experienced wrestler, and they usually touch on that when it comes to other media featuring him. But yeah, obviously it's nothing compared to Batman's martial arts, but still it kind of gives him an edge, so to speak. So yeah.
All right, and I'll be taking the Lizard. His real name is Dr. Curt Connors, and you might have seen him in the more recent Spider-Man movies featuring, Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker. In those movies, they never really had him turn into the Lizard, although there were rumors that he was going to be the villain in the fourth movie that never materialized. That project eventually was replaced by the Amazing Spider-Man reboot, where he will be played by the great actor Rhys Ifans. And I think they're doing a little bit of a different approach for that. He seems a little more humanoid in form.
Well, it's
than
more like the original appearance.
It's less like, because this lizard that we show in the picture here is particularly vicious. Looks massive, and so the Lizard will be more of. And it seems like, from what I've seen, he's retaining his intellect, which is another thing that I'll get into later in this movie. Just from the clips I've seen, he seems smarter than the Lizard has been made in the comics. But Superhuman Strength is one of his key features. He can lift up to 12 tons. Speed, they mention that it's 45 miles an hour, so that can outrun a car on most roads. He's fairly durable. Again, like Killer Croc, he's got that reptilian skin. It's hard, can deflect, knives, low caliber bullets. Upper caliber bullets would probably be a problem. He also has a lot of stamina. I don't exactly know how much.
24 hours.
24 hours. The same 24-hour.
Yeah, pretty much for all superhuman standards.
Yeah, it's. The toxins will affect their body much differently than it would a normal human being. He's got a great amount of agility that comes as a function of his speed, and he can control that speed, shockingly. Also, he has really advanced reflexes, as some lizards. A lot of lizards do have really nice reflexes. He can also regenerate. I don't know if you've ever seen like an iguana. If its tail drops off, it'll just regrow a new tail. So that's more. That's another function of being a lizard. And he has reptilian control. He can control reptiles, somewhat like I don't know. I've seen, who else does that? Someone else can. It's almost like an interface. They're like his precious. But yeah, he is not as experienced a combatant as Killer Croc, unfortunately for him. And despite being genius Curt Connors, world-renowned geneticist. When he is not the wizard, he is the wizard, and therefore his intelligence is slightly stunted. But for all his strength and speed, I feel like that more than makes up for his lack of experience when compared to Killer Croc in combat. I also feel like Killer Croc's more bulky size would, depending on the wizard, obviously, but that I feel like that would hinder him. If we're going off the Arkham Asylum version, he is quite large, like really, really big, and I think Hybrid has an interjection to that.
All right, well, not much to that really, but yeah, he is usually portrayed as being insanely bulky, especially in the Arkham Asylum / Arkham City games. But as well, you could say that the Lizard's kind of weakness, so to speak, would be the fact that he is cold-blooded as the Lizard, unlike Killer Croc, who is always warm-blooded. Or at least as far as I know, he's always warm-blooded. So Spider-Man's done this a few times, especially because the Lizard, he's kind of stupid. But same thing for Croc at times. I'll get to that as well. But yeah, put him in a cold environment, slow him down a lot, and you can defeat him easily. But then for Killer Croc, his brain is always like the same, but a lot of times somewhat the primitive side of his brain, and it'll kind of take over, and he won't really think things through, and he'll just kind of go blindly into things, like in a rage mode, so to speak. So yeah, but he is an experienced wrestler, so it does give him an edge. But between the strength and speed, because if you've seen especially the Lizard in other media, they've shown that his speed, agility, reflexes, stuff like that are pretty much on par with Spider-Man's. Probably not agility all the way, but the reflexes and speed most likely. And then he's a very ferocious combatant. Same thing with Killer Croc. But yeah, so Waichi, you want to kind of finish this off?
As you can see with this little, graphic here, we've got comparing the two. I think the Killer Croc's combat experience is really, and his ability to hold his intelligence more than the wizard, it kind of gives him a little bit of an edge in strategy. It all depends on whether the lizard could use his considerable strength and speed to get away from that. But this is another good close matchup that we've got that will probably be decided by you YouTube viewers. Hopefully. And just a heads up, as we stated in the announcement video, depending on the views this gets, we will decide where to go, but this will most likely be the second to last comic book versus in this season. It's been a great season so far. Really fun doing this for this past, 6 months, really. Really been quite a journey as we've compared people. I think from what me and Hybrid have talked about, we have some really great things planned for the future, and we're working on that right now, and we'll see what happens. But hopefully a little bit of off time over the summer to, hone our the other parts of our channel, because this being one of the less reviewed parts, we're just going to give this a little break, as you would in, Major League Baseball. Give it a rehab start. Probably give it a rest for a little bit, and then just work on getting it some more polish, because when some of our highest viewed videos are reviews of things like the Avengers trailers. When we break it down, when we review Ultimate Spider-Man, we always seem to get more fan feedback from those types of videos, and for those you don't need a lot of polish. You can do those with just sitting down and talking into the microphone, and no consideration at all, really. But with stuff like this, you really need to take more time to prepare, and that's what we're going to try to do for the future.
Yeah, we're exploring animation, and, it's all a work in progress. Like I said, we're going to take a break, see what happens, work on the other things, and besides that, nothing really much to say. Next one will be the finale. It's going to be epic.
It will be epic, and we will announce that next week.
Yep. We have a few surprises in there, but we're not going to spoil. So, yeah. That's it.
All right, that's it. Please vote, like, comment, subscribe, do what you got to do. Shout out to comicbookmovie.com for being, once again, great hosts of our material, and for all their support and what we do. Signing off, I'm White Sheep.
And I'm Hybrid.
And see you next time.